Welcome to Talking Point, a segment where we discuss issues related to African players. And on this show for today, we are looking at the African Tracker. Last week, we discussed issues of the African Combined 11 of the first half of the season. This week, we are presenting to you the African Combined 11 of the week. We'll go straight into the mix there. At the goalkeeping position, Yacine Bono of Morocco and Al Hilal, which is in Saudi Arabia, retains his place. He found himself in the African Combined 11 of the first half of the season. He faced competition from others like Andre Onana, Ghana's Loris Atizigi, Laia Fofana of the Ivory Coast, the Egyptian goalkeepers Mohamed El Shanawi and Gabaski as well. But he remains top this week. Yacine Bono of Morocco and Al Hilal of Saudi Arabia. That's why he applies his trade. Then at the left back position, we have a new entrant. Last week we had Nusel Mazraoui of Manchester United being the face of the African Combined 11 of the first half of the season. This week we have a relatively unknown name. His name is Fabrice Enzo Boyomo. He's a Cameroonian. He plays for Osasuna in the Spanish La Liga. Last week, within the weekend, he scored a brilliant goal for his club. And so Boyomo, who is now capped for the Cameroonian national side, Indomitable Lions, makes his place into the African Combined 11 of the week. Let's go to centre-back position. Now, Agbadou Emmanuel is a player for Wolverhampton Wanderers in the English Premier League. He moved there from France, Stade Rennes, just in the January transfer window. And in fact, in his first month in the English Premier League, he has been awarded or adjudged as the Wolverhampton Wanderers Player of the Month award. That shows you how immaculate and how immense his contribution has been to the Wolverhampton Wanderers team, considering the attacking threat they have in Wan Hee-chan, Matheus Cunha, as well as other players in the team. He has been adjudged as the Wolverhampton Wanderers Player of the Month for January. Then we go on to the other centre-back pair, and then we have this time a Guinean player. His name is Mokhtar Diakabi. He is a Guinean player who plies his trade in the Spanish La Liga with Valencia. He's been injured. He's been out injured for over a year. With he crashed his knee. He was back just a few weeks ago. Last 2 weeks, he played in that game against Barcelona. That was his first start in over a year. And then over the weekend against Leganes, he scored the first goal to help Valencia in a 2-0 win over Leganes at home. And that's big for him because in the last 2 years, he's had a bit of injuries. In fact, over the last year, he hasn't played a lot of games. This is his second start since returning from injury for over a year. Started against Barcelona and started in the second game against Leganes, and he scored a brilliant goal. Remember, Valencia themselves are in the relegation zone, and so his goal was very much important, and he was emotional. He actually cried after. He didn't end the game. After just about 58 minutes, he had to leave the pitch due to another injury again. So you can see injury is truly hampering his career in the La Liga. Then we have another Ghanaian. This time it's Tariq Lamptey. He's the right back of the week of the African Combined 11. In the game against Chelsea in the FA Cup, he was immense. He was adjudged as the best player of the game, awarded the most valuable player in that match. Tariq himself has not been a frequent starter, so he got his chance in the FA Cup game. He took it, and he's performed very well in the few games. He scored about 2 goals so far. It means he's a player, when given opportunity, he can deliver. Let's move to the two-man midfield. We have a double pivot of Ismail Benassar of Algeria and then Pape Gueye of Senegal. These are relatively Pape Gueye is a relatively unknown name as compared to other players like Thomas Partey, Andre Frank Zambo, and Giza and others. Pape Gueye plays his trade in Villarreal. In fact, he moved in the summer transfer window last year from Marseille in France to Villarreal in the Spanish La Liga. He has scored a few goals. He played a very key role as his club Villarreal advanced and made a win over the weekend. He's a very important player in the team, providing depth in the midfield, making sure he's always featuring, doing a lot of tackles, interceptions. He has got a very good shooting ability. He's got a very good aerial duel capability, and he's also got brilliant control of the ball as well. He's a very good player. He's a midfield marshal for Villarreal this season. Then to his left, we have Ismail Benassar. Benassar moved from AC Milan, that's in the January transfer window, to Marseille in the French Ligue 1. So these two players have a history at Marseille. One left Marseille and went to a club which is Villarreal. Benassar left AC Milan and has moved to Marseille. And he's performed brilliantly in his first game for the club. He did brilliantly in a 2-0 win over Angers. He was brilliant, one of the highly rated players in that particular match. Yeah. Then we also have Antoine Semenyo. So in the 4-2-2 formation, or the 4-4-2 formation, Antoine Semenyo is at the left wing of that formation, the Ghanaian player. He was also adjudged as the best player in the game between Everton and Bournemouth in the FA Cup. He scored that penalty when he was hacked by James Tarkowski of Everton, and so he was also adjudged as the best player of the week. Remember that in our African combined 11 of the first half of the season, Semenyo featured on the bench. This time around, he's performed very well, and now he's featured in the African combined 11 of the week. On the right side, we have a player in Brahim Diaz. Brahim Diaz is traditionally a player you will not see play a lot of games, especially since he moved back to Real Madrid. He's been on loan in the last 3 years from Madrid to AC Milan. He's featured in the last 2 seasons. This time, he's back at Madrid because he feels he has a chance to stake a claim. Unfortunately, there's been too much competition in Mbappe, Vinicius, Rodrigo, and other players, and so unfortunately he has struggled for game time. But however, when he has gotten the chance at Real Madrid, he's delivered. In fact, in very few games, he has scored 6 goals and delivered about 3 assists as well. So he's a player who does very well. Yesterday in the Champions League against Manchester City, his former club, he scored a brilliant goal as well to help in reducing the deficit and staging the comeback. Then up top, we have 2 players, Sehu Girassi of Guinea and Victor Boniface as well of Nigeria. Girassi is a player who you might not know about, but he's one of the top scorers and high performers in Europe. Last season, in the top 5 goal scorers in Europe, he was one of them. This season, in terms of the Champions League, he's the leading goal scorer with Haaland and Robert Lewandowski. He has 10 goals. He plays for Borussia Dortmund in the Guinean national team. Unfortunately for him, even though he scores a lot of goals, unfortunately for him, Guinea will not be present at this year's AFCON. Boniface also scored a brilliant goal in the comeback they did in the DFB Pokal against FC Cologne in the Germany. Then let's look at our bench. You have Yaya Fofana. Yaya Fofana is the goalkeeper of the Ivorian national team. He was the one who was very important and played that key role when they won the Africa Cup of Nations just last year to January 2024. He's here. He plays for Angers in the French Ligue 1. He considered 2 goals against Ismail Benacer's Marseille, but 2 goals to 0. However, it's one of the brilliant performance, and his save rate and other things puts him on the bench. Then we have Nayef Aguerd. Nayef Aguerd is a Moroccan defender who plays in the Spanish La Liga, moved from West Ham to Real Sociedad, a brilliant player as well. He makes the list here. Eric Bailly also plays for Villarreal, a teammate of Pape Gueye, but he's also a teammate of Emmanuel Agbado of the Ivorian national team, one of the seasoned players in here, former Manchester United player as well. We have Carlos Baleba. Baleba was on the bench last week in our African combined 11 of the first half of the season. He makes it also here on the bench. Another Cameroonian here is Neyu. In fact, if you look at our bench, a lot of the midfielders are actually Cameroonian, which means that they are dominating midfield in their various clubs. Baleba for Brighton and Hove Albion in the Premier League. Neyu for Leganes, even though they lost their game over the weekend. Very instrumental. He had a shot, even hit the barman. Radashvili also saved a few shots from him as well. And then Frank Zambo, Andre Anguissa, they drew 1-0 in the Serie A. They are still leading the charge. And so they're also Cameroonian. And then we have Taiwo Awoni of Nottingham Forest. He also scored a brilliant goal in a 2-2 draw, and then subsequently they won by 4 goals between a penalty shootout. So that's it.